It will surprise many of you to learn that the Lily 5 are my favorite group in Shaman King. Now that's something that people would pin me to the wall and try and kill me with the keyboards or strangle me with their mouse. But listen, this group of girls who I know are filler characters and not part of the original manga, they're so endearing, and the way they bounce off certain characters, hopefully in this video you understand my point of view, even if they're not quote unquote canon. After being briefly introduced to Elly and Millie in episode 26 as they were fighting off Ryu, we had the official introduction in the Traveling Through America arc in Shaman King 2001. We meet Elly, Millie, Sally, Lily, and Sharona. That in itself is jokes. They even point out how Sharona doesn't even fit in with the Lily 5, not only in the naming moniker, but also from the personality quirks that all of these girls showcase. And that's the thing, each and every single one of them feel independent and they all bring something else, and when they're together, they bring something completely different. Sally is the muscle of the group, Millie being the sweet one, Elly being the understanding one, Lily is the shy, intelligent one, and Sharona being the confident, brash, scheming leader. I love the dynamics, and I can only describe Sharona as Jessie from Team Rocket in Pokemon. Sharona is further fleshed out with her own little dedicated story, and we learn that there's so much more depth to each of these characters. We learn how all of these girls banded together after being shunned away and labeled outcasts from society due to the shamanic abilities. Let me quickly go through the history as well as the abilities of each of these girls. Lily was bullied by her classmates for seeing ghosts. She was ridiculed, and somehow she met Elly before the shaman tournament. Her medium is her glasses that she uses to navigate for the group. Now, her guardian ghost is a winter white dwarf hamster named Jangurian, and when it merges with her glasses, it becomes binoculars. Elly is more of a tomboy with her brash nature, but she was a cheerleader before, and she was rejected by her boyfriend because he was sick and tired of hearing her ghost stories and just thought she was straight up weird. That's heartbreaking. Her guardian ghost is a pink sickle weasel called Kamaitachi. Her medium is her pink French nails, and when they merge together, the oversoul is a bear-like claw. Now, Millie is the youngest of the 5. She's a little kid. She's the little kid of the group, and she was abandoned by her mother when she was just a little girl because she could see ghosts. Now that is sad. She uses a slingshot as her medium. Her spirit is called Onibi Onibi, who appears to be in the shape of a fireball with the face of a fox, and when they merge with the slingshot, they become a gun or a crossbow in the dub. Sally is the muscle of the group, and her abilities to see ghosts landed her in trouble with the law. She lost her job because she could see ghosts, and it's quite sad. Her medium is her rings on her fingers, and when they are combined with her guardian ghost, who's called Korogashi, they become a giant mallet. Sharona was a babysitter before she participated in the shaman tournament, and she was looking after a kid named Belle. And the kid was like, no, look, you stay away, stay away. She's like, why? Look, all the spirits are gone. And he's like, no, because of you, they're here. And obviously her life was turned upside down. Her medium is her golden pipe. Her spirit is called Enra Enra, who can shapeshift into various objects or people upon Sharona's command. Now, all of these 5 have had a tragic backstory, and they are outcasts by their own right individually. And even as a group, when they come together, they each bring their own personality to the table, and Sharona is the leader. But what's weird is even as a group, they are an outcast amongst everyone else, because in terms of Furyoku, in terms of combat ability, they just simply don't stack up. They don't stack up to the competition. They don't stack up to the other shaman teams that already exist. The one member that gets the most focus is Millie, as she's the youthful youngest and she's the sweetest one amongst the 5, because she hasn't been beaten up by life over a prolonged period of time compared to the others. Now, yes, she's had a tragic backstory, but there's a difference being bullied, being made fun of over a prolonged period of time, that it really does affect your psyche and your life. Now, let's not kind of water down whatever trauma she may have gone through, but the way the show is portraying her, she's the optimistic one and more likely to forge friendships and alliances with other people, which she does, but she's also very naive. And this was demonstrated when her Oracle Bell was stolen. Now let's focus quickly on that. Obviously, with the English dub, we got an Australian accent, but both iterations are just as hilarious. Literally everything with these girls is comedy gold. Shaman King is filled with comedy, but I will say this quite bluntly, I did not expect how much I enjoyed and loved this group whose sole purpose is comedy, but not just normal gag comedy. It's just oh, you girls, you hopeless bunch. It's a comedy wrapped and laced in tragedy. It never was nauseating, nor was it lame. Every joke, every gag was a home run. And the Oracle Bell incident allowed and showcased the Lily 5 to interact with Yo's group in comedic fashion. Each time they interact with Yo's group, they change slightly. We view the Lily 5 less and less as an obstacle and more of a sympathetic, hapless quintet. Their story is interesting, but it's more so how they bounce off other characters, and the main character that they bounce off is Yo, and then the secondary main is Lyserg. Let's start off with Lyserg. As we said, that Millie is more likely to forge the alliances and friendships, and she befriends Lyserg. Obviously, initially they tried to ambush him, but when they saw his power, they're like, maybe not. Lyserg was the main moving part in the third main arc of Shaman King, which is the Going Through America arc, where he was introduced. And in my opinion, that arc is all about the radicalization of Lyserg Diful. The Lily 5 and Lyserg, Millie and Lyserg, they were the connective tissue to make us hate Lyserg. Now, the 2001 version of Shaman King portrays Lyserg very differently to the 2021 version, where in the manga and in the 2021 version, Lyserg is far more likable. But the reason why he isn't likable in this version, in the 2001 version, is how callous he was. Millie was very innocent. She just wanted to be friends with him. And during the little battle with Boris, when Lyserg decides, nope, he's gonna turn. When Yo's group come out, they see the Lily 5 on the floor, battered, defeated by the X-Laws. They, at that point, established themselves as very sympathetic. They became, oh no, that's not right. Before this, they were trying their absolute best to hitchhike and just ride on the coattails of Yo's group. And when Hao made his entrance, and they tried to even ride their coattails, but they were rejected again. At that point, it was the turning point when you're like, you know what? They just can't catch a break. And how Lyserg treated them, how the X-Laws treated them, made us do a double turn, made us really enjoy and like, you know what? We're going to look after the Lily 5, and you know what? We hate you, Lyserg. That's why I think that Lyserg is so hated, because Millie had a crush on him, just like a little girl, but she was very innocent, naive. She just wanted the best for him. She wanted to be friends. To see that all essentially trodden on, and he just didn't blink an eyelid when the X-Laws battered them and they were on the floor, destroyed, just made him look like an absolute bitch, and I hate him. I hate the 2001 version of Lyserg. Now, the second character that I mentioned was Yo. Now, Yo has enough interactions with the main cast and all the other secondary cast members, so how on earth does the Lily 5 enhance or add anything to Yo's character? I believe in the second portion of the story, when they're in Patch Village, when they're in the adventure part of traveling through America, there wasn't many instances for Yo to showcase his sympathetic side, the side where he's very astute, he's very caring as well. Yeah, sure, it was showcased for Chocolov and Co and such, but with the Lily 5, they were as close to humans as you can get, because they weren't strong shamans. They weren't adding a lot in terms of combat ability. They weren't guiding them anywhere. They didn't give them anything. So they were useless. They were useless from a narrative point of view, from them trying to go to Patch Village and them trying to be stronger shamans. But Yo noticed them. He noticed that the Lily 5 were trying to get them and sabotage their airplane when they were traveling through America. He noticed that, oh crap, they're paired against Hao. Shit. He needs to stop them. It was as if we saw Yo was trying to help out a human all over again. Now, when he pitched and helped out Manta, that's fine. But after we were introduced to other shamans, Manta became quite irrelevant. He didn't become important to the story and it's very hard to relate to him. Yeah, he was the human perspective in this story, but in terms of in-universe, I don't know, I just found him a bit, he's just there. And maybe that's a topic for another day. But the Lily 5 gave that human element because, again, they've been so beat up by life and they just can't catch a break. Yo went out there to save them and help them out. And I do like the fact that they're very funny. They're extremely funny. And you see the contrast in the different types of comedy in Shaman King with Yo and his comedy and the Lily 5 as well. I believe that when Yo wanted to save them from competing against Hao, it again showed that human side, and Yo understood after learning about each of their characters, each of the fact that they're all outcasts. He said they're gonna have to feel like they're going all out, so they know that the scope that they would have been killed, they would have just been absolutely destroyed. And he did that. He did that very well and he liberated them. They needed that sense of belonging and at the same time that sense of worth, because no one was acknowledging them. Everyone abandoned each and every single one of them as soon as they found out that they were shamans. So they kind of needed acknowledgement for their shaman abilities as well as their personality, because they just can't catch a break. After the shaman tournament finishes, the Lily 5 open up a flower shop with the help of Silva and Kareem. So that's a nice little bow tie on their narrative, because they finally have their own little safe space, a happy place where they're doing what they want to do. They can be themselves and they can also be individuals as well as a collective group. And flowers, again, it's just their way of delivering their own beauty and their happiness and their smiles to other people. So it's a great little epilogue, and I hope hearing this made you think, maybe give it a little thought that the Lily 5 weren't that bad. If anything, they're the best.